Thank you very much, Tam. So today I will be talking about an online decision support tool for researchers and high degree students that we developed at the University of Queensland. And before I start, I would like to say that my expertise is in teaching and training in higher education. And currently in my role at UQ, I provide training and education support for human ethics, animal ethics, research integrity, and sanctions and export controls. So Professor Dai also was involved in the development of this decision support tool, but unfortunately she could not be here today with me as she had other commitments. So I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners and their custodianship of the lands in which we meet. We pay all our respects to their ancestors and their descendants who continue cultural and spiritual connections to country. And we recognize their valuable contribution to Australian and the global society. In today's presentation, I will start with a brief literature review about the topic. And I will also present an overview of the human ethics research training at UQ in the last 3 years. I will introduce the problem that we have perceived in the training sessions that we have held. And I will also introduce the decision support tool to all of you. And I will also provide you the opportunity to have a go with the decision support tool. I will share the link in the chat. I will comment on the results and feedback that we have received and made some suggestions. So just a brief overview of the literature review. Watts et al. Developed a meta-analytic review about research ethics instruction in sciences and assessed the impact of research ethics training by sampling empirical studies published since the year 2000. So their review consisted of 66 empirical studies, 106 ethical courses, and 10,000 participants. So overall, the findings indicated that ethics instruction resulted in considerable benefits to the participants and has greatly improved within the last decade. On the other side, Todd et al. In the same year developed a study to identify best practices for courses on research ethics and identify themes related to instructional methods in effective research ethics courses, which are active participation and learning, which was important. And instead of presenting a lecture-based style, the idea is to present an active learning approach. With minimal interaction from the presenter. Case-based activities that can capture contextualized exemplars, including ethical dilemmas, providing information about the complexities involved, and also a combination of individual and group approaches. It has also been highlighted in the literature, the variability of the effectiveness of research ethics training. This could be related to differences in the selection of the content discussed in the training and the depth of the discussion. Trainers also using different frameworks to approach the content and focus on field-specific information versus a more general approach. So at UQ, before I started in this position in 2010, we only offer informative sessions for UQ staff and HDI students. In 2021, we incorporated a drop-in session for specific questions on human ethics applications. And we also added some educational videos about tips for human ethics applications and the recording of training sessions. This year, we have added a decision support tool, which intends to support people in the decision of the right pathway that they need to follow when they submit an application. With this year, we have also been working on an interactive wheel that is going to be available next year. which aims to provide a better understanding of the national statement, considering the principles and elements. And people will be able to select a principle and element and receive some questions that researchers need to consider in their research projects. So in relation to the problem that we have identified in the training sessions and in education in general about human ethics, low attendance has been an issue. We need enormous energy to disseminate training sessions, provide reminders to the people who have registered so that they can actually attend the training. We analyzed 103 questions that we received from people who attended drop-in sessions and informative sessions in 2021. And we concluded that there were repeated questions in the sessions. It also became evident by looking at the feedback and questions that people had different learning needs. And even though we have specific training sessions for HDR students and staff, attendees have different levels of expertise and knowledge. So why did we decide to use a decision support tool? So as you know, each research project has its own characteristics, and depending on these, it will determine the human research ethics review pathways they need to follow. However, there is a lot of hesitation in relation to which pathway they need to choose. And both staff and HDR students only had the institutional website and informative training session as a reference for these. And unfortunately, in the informative session, it is impossible to discuss the complexities of the characteristics of the research projects of each attendee. In the analysis that we did of the 103 questions we received in 2021, 30% of the questions were associated with human ethics review pathways. So that's why we have decided that we needed to address this topic. Just to share with you the steps that we followed in developing this tool. First of all, we gathered information about what we wanted to include, the glossary that we included, the terminology and the definitions, the pathways that we wanted to have, and some extra information that we wanted to include. Second, we evaluated different platforms. So we started with PowerPoint, Office 360 Forms, H5P, and we ended up with Articulate as the platform that we chose for this tool. Then we looked for feedback from different sources, human ethics coordinators, research ethics and integrity director, reviewers, students, researchers, and so on. We piloted the tool in the informative sessions and drop-in sessions and following up emails that we were sending to people. And we finally made the decision tool available in the UQ website. To develop the tool, we use different feedback loops, and I rely on dialogic feedback, which highlights the importance of dialogues in the feedback, in making sense of the information and clarifying the feedback that is received from different sources to enhance the work that we are developing. And there is a feedback form at the end of the decision tool. So each time that a person uses has the opportunity to provide feedback. And we are gathering this feedback to analyze it and make improvements every year. The idea is to upload a new version of the decision tool every year too. So now I'm going to introduce you the decision support tool. The link is there, but I'm also sharing that with Helen, the link. so that hopefully she will be able to share that link with everyone. So I just share the link with Helen, and yeah, she will be able to share with you. If not, it's thank you, Helen. If not, it's on the screen anyway. At the end of it, you will have this possibility to provide feedback, and we will really appreciate your feedback considering your expertise in this area. We have also added one question in the feedback form for you that is relevant for this audience. So while you have a look at the decision support tool, I will also I will now discuss about the results that we have found with this decision support tool. Okay, so one of the questions that we had in the feedback form is associated with if the tool helped in determining the human research ethics application pathway. And 75% indicated that yes, and 25% indicated no or maybe. In relation to the question about getting new information in visiting the tool, 50% indicated yes, and the other 50% indicated no. More qualitative information about the experience on the tool is in this slide. People have indicated that the tool is easy to use, and it has actually helped them in the process of identifying the pathway. They have liked the helpful bubbles in general, and yeah, and they have said that it's clear and simple. In relation to their experience about completing the tool, some people have indicated that they would like to see information about amendments as another pathway. They would like more examples when we are providing information. And they have indicated that some terminology needs to be simplified, perhaps in the information tabs that we included. We might make some changes to that. So some of the suggestions that I would like to make based on our experience developing the tool, but also in coordinating all the trainings about human ethics, is the importance of including a variety of learning resources and have so that people have the opportunity not only face-to-face but also online, considering the busy agendas of researchers and HDR students. Active online approaches are suggested and need to be explored and developed. And in doing that, it's really important to develop partnership between learning designers and content experts. This could benefit the development of new resources, as content experts have all the expertise in the area, and they know better what the needs are. So more conversations are needed with different stakeholders, including the researchers and HDR students or students in general who have had experience with human research. Some of the reference, and thank you very much.
Okay, Karen, I think there's a chat. There's a comment here that the link is not working. So it works for me. So I don't know if Helen can grab the actual address and send through. Maybe I can do that. So while we're waiting for the question, this is really interesting that although when I went through, it's only a few questions. Is that all it is, like 3 questions and it's determined, or is there more in your full?
Yeah. So there is on the upper side, there is a tree that shows you the decision support tree. I'm not sure if you can see it. that shows you all the pathways that are in the tool. But it also depends on the answers that you are providing, the number of questions that you receive. Sometimes it's very straightforward, but sometimes depending on the answers that you're receiving, you will receive more questions to identify the pathway.
Yeah, okay. And tongue-in-cheek question here. Are you collecting data when we actually look at the app here?
No, we just...
Are you collecting our data?
No, it's actually, well, the feedback form is only, we are not developing any research about this. There is no research project involved or anything. The data is only to make improvements to the decision support tool.
Great.
And of course, the answers in the feedback form is anonymous.
Yeah. Okay. And then you mentioned about your, so obviously you piloted and getting some feedback and so on and so forth. Have you implemented this fully with UQ or I assume because it's coming from the medical school, this been rolled out through the hospital as well, or is it just through the clinical school only?
No, this tool is actually available on the UQ website for all staff and UQ students. So not only medical, but from any area.
Okay, great. Certainly very, I mean, you know, with my link at Melbourne Medical School, we want to make sure, I guess, people apply for ethics at the right level. So certainly there's checklists and so on and so forth, but you know, as a Word document or PDF, people have to download. Whereas this is almost like an app because everyone carry one of these and people use the app, and you know, so that's great. Have you got plan to looking at, I suppose, further sort of the application, whether it's say in research integrity or research misconduct, where people go through and say, you know, is this a research misconduct or integrity issues that I should be asking or addressing or even reporting?
Yeah, we have shared actually the tool with the different areas: animal ethics, integrity, and sanctions and export control. And yeah, we are evaluating if this could be a tool that can help the other areas, but also the interactive wheel with questions that researchers need to reflect in their research project is also another possibility for the other areas. So yeah,
okay,
we're still evaluating that.
Great. No, thank you.